Thank you, Madam President. Members, first I want to say that there is a few parts of this bill that I actually like. One is that it will streamline the process by having a central agency to do the work. But I want to just, I've seen this, I laid off this bill in energy, and I sit on sub 2, and I want to just paint a picture for you of what we're actually doing here, in my opinion. First, number one, we do not have windmills in the ocean off of the California coast right now. I know there's some members that have toured Norway, which Dahle is Norwegian, and they have windmills over there, but their ocean topography is a lot different than ours. We have the shelf, we have currents that are different than there, and we also have tsunamis that have happened in the past that from Alaska. So I think these things need to be taken into consideration. Number one, this process will allow for the agencies to be able to move fast. Everybody's talking about moving wind to offshore, and the process is going to allow, and I'm going to read you right out of the bill what this is going to do. So we typically, when we do an EIR, we have the project proponents come forth, do the EIR, whatever the impacts are, we mitigate for. This legislation is actually setting the pathway forward to mitigate before we actually know what the impacts are. By the way, the first part of the project is going to be 5,000 gigawatts, or 5 gigawatts, which is a gigawatt is 1,000 megawatts. That is going to be 416 approximately windmills off our coast for the first initial project. The second phase is for 20 gigawatts, which will be 1,000 windmills off of the coast of California. So I want you to just picture that to start with. Think about all those lines, thinking about all the anchors holding these floating windmills, and this bill right here is streamlining the process. And I'm amazed that the environmental groups aren't losing their mind on the way we're doing this process. Let me read. Section 3016.5, the California Offshore Wind Energy Fisheries Working Group shall develop a framework for compensatory mitigation for the unavoidable impacts on commercial fisheries, tribal interest, impacting commercial fishermen, and the public associated with the offshore wind energy projects. The working groups shall include the payments described in subdivision C of this framework. What are they doing? They're already going to pay the people who are going to be impacted. That's not how we do it in California under CEQA. We don't pay first and tell you we're going to pay you. When you obligate the funds forward to mitigate the impacts, you have no impacts because everybody's paid off. That's what this process is doing. Second part I want to read to you of the working group, Section C of the same 3016.5, the working group shall set forth payments that a leasee of the state lands for an offshore wind energy project is required to pay as part of the rent the lease pays for use of the state lands to compensate commercial fisheries, tribal interest, and impacted commercial fish processors for lost revenues and mitigated other impacts of the project on the public. The payment shall include all the following. So members, we're going to see 416 windmills in the first 5 gigawatts that we're trying to procure. We're going to see up to 1,000 windmills, and we're setting the state in a trajectory that is mitigating the impacts. No mention in this bill about sport fishing, folks. I guess they don't count. But I'm telling you, I want to just rise. The other thing that you should know, too, is that central procurement is key to this. I'm assuming we will see that in a trailer bill coming through where who's going to pay for this? The ratepayers will pay. I asked yesterday in sub 2, the CUPC was there, what the cost was going to be. 30 cents a megawatt. And then after they're built, it should ratchet down to 20 cents. That's a lot of money per per kilowatt. So I just want to know, I'm going to be voting against this. I laid off it before, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do wind energy. I'm just saying that once you set the trajectory forward, then the process that we're doing with the governor on board, with the, as the author of this bill said yesterday in sub 2, we're going to do the party line here and do what the governor wants. Well, I'm not part of that party. I'm here to stand up for the environment. If you pay everybody off in the first place, you won't have any opposition. So I challenge my friends in the environment, just as I did on the bill earlier about the plastic bags. Where the hell are you? Because this is going to impact our ocean. And if we get this wrong, we don't get a chance to do it right. It's a perfect example is the train to nowhere. We got it wrong, and it's not helping the environment. So members, I urge a no vote on this. I urge that we do it right, that we put a process in place that allows us to do the impacts and make sure that they're not negative impact. The amount of infrastructure that our ports are going to see is going to be astronomical. One windmill takes up the same land mass as an entire football stadium. So think about that. I just want to say, if this was a dam being proposed, every single environmentalist on this floor who claims to be an environmentalist would be standing up and opposing this. Because it's wind energy and because it's the President of the United States has given us $3 billion, this is going through. So I'm going to hold you accountable to that this is not the normal process. And we should be having a microglass on it. We should be taking a better look at it. And I'm just sharing with you that I think there's a lot of hypocrisy when we don't do it the right way, even though we need this energy. For those reasons, I respectfully ask for a no vote on this bill, and let's send it back and get it right.